hope you're having an awesome Thursday. This is Top Story, and we all receive one of these, generally about once a month or so, and it's a PUC bill. Now, there are times when it's a little confusing, and with winter coming up, we wanted to make sure that you could understand your bill specifically. So we brought in somebody who's an expert on this from the PUC. He told me to tell you that he's an expert. This is Jordan Zinn, who is in communications with the PUC here in Sault Ste. Marie. He's going to explain our bills to us, and then he's going to talk about an event as well that is coming up with the PUC. Jordan, good to see you. How are you?
I'm excellent. Thank you for having me, Luann.
No problem at all. It's always good to see you. So this is the bill. Now, for a lot of people, it's kind of intimidating. You look at it and you see all these numbers. And something I didn't realize until you said it today was that it's split up. So let's talk about that first.
Yeah, sure. That's one of the things that when we're talking to customers about their bill is that there's a bit of a disconnection there. They'll say, one of the comments you always hear is, well, my relative in Southern Ontario, their bill is nowhere near this amount, or they pay this much for electricity, how can this be? And the biggest thing that we remind people is that the PUC, the bill you get from us is actually 3 bills.
Okay.
So unless your relative in Southern Ontario has the same setup with their utility or service provider, then it's an apples to orange comparison. The PUC bill actually has, so there's 3 parts. There's the electricity component, the water component, and the city sewage charge, which we collect on behalf of the city of Sault Ste. Marie.
Oh,
Now,
I see. Okay.
There's going to be some customers like out in the West End where they're not on the municipal drinking water system, but they're still a power customer. So for them, their bill would only be the electrical portion. So even in the city, sometimes it's an apples to orange comparison.
So it's really important to know this kind of stuff, because I think a lot of people look at the bottom line and go, oh my gosh, it cost me $400 for electricity in May. How come? But if you break it down.
Yeah, and the other challenging thing is our logo's at the top. And like you said, people just look at the bottom. So look at the top, they see the PUC, and they look at the bottom and they see the amount and they say the PUC is charging me this. When in fact, there's very little on this bill that locally the PUC actually keeps.
So it's the first section then? Your electricity charges would be the first? Really?
Yes. So,
what the heck do you guys get to keep?
It's a confusing component, but so the top of the bill, we've got our usage, right? So you've got electricity usage. So on this one, off-peak, summer peak, and mid-peak, that's your time of use. So that's the commodity price of electricity. So that's your usage. This will vary from customer to customer, but the cost is uniform across the province.
I see.
Meaning that if you're in Toronto or Moosonee or Sault Ste. Marie, this part is the same. Everyone pays the same kilowatt hour price. The part that PUC keeps is what's called the delivery line. And this is what a lot of people,
because you're the service provider in essence.
It really shouldn't be, a better word for it might be a distribution charge.
Okay.
So the delivery line is the only line on the electricity portion the PUC has any control over, and the only portion that we keep.
Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
I had no idea, because that's a lot of numbers. Like you said, off-peak, mid-peak, on-peak, all of those are provincially standardized.
That's what the ISO or the OEB has set for the price of electricity in the province. So for these months, this is how much it costs per kilowatt hour. So the delivery, now what that funds is, this funds our entire operation. So on the PUC side, it pays for finance and capital projects, salaries, vehicles, maintenance, storm repair, all of this stuff on the electricity side comes out of just that. It works out to around, let's say, 25% of the bill.
I was going to say, that's a small portion of all the listings of numbers here.
Yeah, it ranges. I would say that on the high end, it'll be around 25%. So let's just, for simple sake, for 25 cents out of every dollar, we run the utility in the city.
And everything else is provincial.
And everything else is either provincial or regulatory.
And that's as far as our PUC bills go, as far as electricity is concerned.
Right.
Now tell us about the water charges.
Right. So the water charges, now this is, again, the electricity portion, that is a for-profit company. So PUC Distribution is the electricity service provider for the city of Sault Ste. Marie. On the water side, that is still, and this is where it kind of gets confusing, is still the Public Utilities Commission.
Okay, so what's the difference?
How much time do we have?
I had to ask, didn't I?
So basically before deregulation, so before 2000, when they deregulated the industry, everything was under the PUC.
Okay.
And so it was the Public Utilities Commission, and it was all done at cost. It was a commission of the city. So we had elected commissioners, and then after deregulation, they spun off the electricity side of it, and it was set up as a for-profit company. So on the water side, on the commission, this still is under the old model, so it's done at cost.
Oh, I
So
see, okay.
This cost is whatever.
We're just switching out Jordan's microphone here to make sure we can all hear him perfectly. His dulcet tones, we want to make sure that you're doing such a good job that everybody can hear us. Now,
So on the water side,
yes.
so, it's set up at cost. So if it costs $1 to bring it to you, we charge you $1 to bring it to you.
Okay.
So the water connection charge, the basic service charge, sorry, that is the basic charge it takes to operate the system.
Oh,
so
okay.
that pays for maintaining the pipes, that pays for treating the water, running the plants, maintenance, capital projects, replacing all that water infrastructure. That comes out of there. Where we get a lot of pushback sometimes or confusion around it is, well, I use $3 worth of water,
right,
and I'm paying $27 for the basic service charge. Well, the thing is, those costs are fixed, right?
Right.
We
That
still have to
includes your
maintain those
pipes
infrastructure
and
and all that stuff. So the variable component on the water side is how much you use. And that is set by us.
And I think that's probably a good thing to know, just as a consumer, that there is, in essence, a set price for water use, because it's good to conserve water for the environment, for all of the right reasons. If you don't see that reflection on your water bill to your satisfaction, that's because it has to be maintained as a system. And that's where some of the cost goes.
Oh, for sure. We've got an aging system, and we do what we can to maintain it. But again, it's one of those things that a lot of it is coming due and needs to be replaced. We've got some water mains in the ground that are over 100 years old.
Oh my gosh.
And
they need to be changed.
The thing is, some of them, they don't have a crack in them at all.
Really?
I mean, they were put in with the steel water mains, and then as technology evolved, things got smaller. And again, there's a number of factors that contribute to water mains. But the thing is, when the city goes in, so we work with the city on a lot of projects, and that's the way that we're able to keep our costs down and run our utility efficiently, is because we have a shared service model. So like I said, there's 3 components to this bill.
Yes.
So we have an electricity company that has a single customer care department, for example. So we don't have a separate one for the water or for the sewage side of it. So they handle all of it. We have one billing department that handles all of it. So there's a lot of efficiencies that can be found there. And that's another way that helps us keep our bill down. What a lot of people don't know, and what they're surprised to hear, is Sault Ste. Marie has some of the lowest distribution rates in the province on the electricity side, and we're in the bottom third on the water.
Wow.
So yeah, we work incredibly hard to keep these costs down, and it's one of those things that it's a challenge, because we're trying to work as efficiently as possible. But we have a system that continues to age.
Well, sure.
And these projects are not cheap to complete.
And like you said, it can be 100 years old and still really efficient, but you have to find that out. You have to inspect it. You have to go in and see, how are they doing from year to year. I'm sure there's a whole maintenance schedule.
Oh, for sure. And one of the things that we started about 5 or 6 years ago was the UDF program. And that is another one that it's a best practice. It improves water quality. It exercises the valves. So there's a lot of maintenance that we're finding with that. As we're going out and trying all these things, we're finding valves that might not work. So then we replace those, and it helps maintain the system.
You know what? I'm so glad that you're here to explain that, because so much of the cost, I think, like you said, I'm sure your phone must ring off the hook with questions, and my gosh, I only used $3, like you said, and now it's showing this, and so then it's a real public information issue,
exactly.
I think, right?
And that's one of the things, like we talked about the event on the top of it.
Yes.
And we try to get out in the community as much as possible because what we found is that when you can have these conversations face to face with people and explain it, they may not like it, but they understand it a lot more.
At least.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, okay, I see how that works. All right, I may not be crazy about the amount on the bottom, but I understand how it got there, because there's a lot of times you get it and people are just like, I don't understand how you went from how we I use $3 of water and I'm paying,
$200.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's collected. And then the other thing is, like, the city of Sault Ste. Marie charge, we collect that on behalf of the city. We don't set it. It's just, we're already doing all of this stuff. So we're sending a bill to the house. So it's an efficiency. So now now the city doesn't have to send out a monthly sewer charge.
I
So
see.
it's an efficiency that we're able to find there. But again, so the
So
sewer.
water and sewer are not only separate bills, they're separate because the sewage is taken care of by the city.
Yes.
So you're basically a partner with the city, helping them get the bills out. And
Oh, with that and on a number of other infrastructure
Yeah.
projects, everything we do, we work collaboratively with the city on.
that's so awesome.
Yeah.
Boy, I can't imagine the system on like one map. You must look at it and go, oh,
Oh yeah, it's definitely once you get into it, it is it can sometimes feel a little overwhelming with the amount of infrastructure that's out there. And like at the beginning of last month, we had those windstorms, and that just wreaked havoc on our system. The guys were out till all hours trying to get that power restored as quickly as possible. So it is a lot of work.
definitely. Tell us about the event coming up, because the event is going to speak to this particular issue, breaking down your PUC bill so that you understand exactly where the costs are coming, and that in fact it is 3 different separate bills. So what's happening?
So this is a follow-up to an event that we did last year, or part of last year, and we got a lot of positive comments from it from the public that was there. It is basically just that. We've got a presentation where we go through it, explain how prices are set, how they affect your bill, and then we've got another part of the presentation which is from our conservation and demand management officer. So it's understanding your bill and what you can do about it.
Okay.
So these are some programs that are available. You can do this. This will save it this way. Explain. Well, there's actually a lot of customers that don't know that we have our tool is called Customer Connect.
Yes.
But you can actually log on and see your energy usage to the hour.
Oh,
So it will tell you
great.
when. So that's another tool that, and I'll stress this again, if a customer ever has a question or concern with their bill, to call our customer care department. They'd be happy to walk them through it. They'll take them through Customer Connect, and either they can show them through that or tell them, like they're like, I don't understand where this power is coming from. Well, there's an example of one where I don't understand it. I do everything.
To conserve,
to
like
conserve
after hours and all
after
that,
hours,
yeah.
and then we looked at it and said, well, there's a spike in electricity at 8 o'clock, and they're like, well, I don't understand what that is. I leave for work at 8, so I don't know what this spike is from. And it was, he had an electric hot water tank, so in the morning he showered, and then the tank is filling up and heating back up during on-peak time, and it's costing him. So that's where that spike is coming from.
Now, who'd have thought of that,
So
right?
it's one of those things that you look at it and find out where you're using that energy, and you can shift it. I mean, if you want to shower in the morning, well,
Sure.
there's not
Then you have to anticipate
you
that.
have to anticipate that.
Right.
Or what this customer did was he just started showering at night before he went to bed, and it
Overnight, when it's not peak hours, then it's refilling and reheating.
Yeah, it's-
That's awesome.
it's heating at
Where's
the
the
low
event
cost of
taking place, and who can go, and how much, and all that
Well,
good
this
stuff?
is again, we were inviting everyone who anyone can come. If you have a PUC bill and you have some questions, I'll be there, and a couple people from our engagement team and our what we call CDM, the conservation department, will be there. It's at no cost.
Okay.
I believe it's the James McIntyre Centennial Library.
Oh, yes, okay.
At 7 p.m. on November 8th.
On
Yes.
November 8th.
Yeah.
You thought about it, and you got it.
Yeah, I just want to be sure. So I don't want to send people there on the wrong day.
Yeah, that's right. And bottom line, if you can't get to it, because I think some people are thinking, oh, geez, I want to know more, and it's so interesting. And it's so sensible when you break it down. If you can't get to it, you can call.
Yeah, our customer care staff will be happy to take you through it. They get calls like this all the time. It's not new. We understand that this can, because again, the other thing is we have very little control over how this bill is displayed. It's thou shalt display it like this, and maybe we've got this little line at the bottom. We might be able to put something in there, but then sometimes the province comes out, and right now they're plugging the Fair Hydro Plan, so that's eating up that message there. So even how it's displayed
Who knew, right?
is limited.
Yeah, there's politics involved in everything, Gio.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming in with this information.
Well, I'm happy that you have us, and I'm happy to come back at any time.
No problem at all. This really cleared so much up for me. I appreciate it. Thanks.
I'm happy to do it.
We're going to take this break. We'll be back on Top Story right after this.